Good morning, everyone. This is Rahul Sharma, Vedic practitioner from Chicago. Today, I will be talking about one of the biggest myth about the Rahu Dasha, Rahu, Ketu, Shani. We have been keep listening about the Navgraha and how people are worried about if somebody tells them. I'm going to talk about what is the myth and what is the fact. And of course, I learned everything from the books of my Gurudev Pandit Shriram Sharma Acharya, Mata Bhagavati Devi Sharma. In Karamkand Bhaskar, he has mentioned briefly about it. None of the mantras says anything bad about having any of those planetary position or grahas. We normally worship all of them because of their unique characteristics or analogy which teaches us something in the life. So we are going to talk about that in this Rahu Dasha in this video. So let's talk about what is the Rahu Dasha. We talk it in terms of the planetary position. So as I mentioned, we have myth which people have a blind faith and they keep going to the astrologers or so-called YouTube gurus. If you're listening and watching your weekly predictions or horoscope, that Rahu Dasha is not good, it's in adverse house, so you need to perform a specific puja or buy a specific precise stone, wear it on your ring on a specific finger. So this all are completely a myth or it is fact. You can decide yourself at the end of this video. But let me tell you, in Gurudev's book, Karamkand Bhaskar and other books, he has shown the mantra, the basic mantra in our Vedas is Om Kaya Navitrana Bhodruti Sada Buddha Sakha Kaya Shashivastya Varva Om Rahave Nama. Now why we will worship and say Rahave Nama, Ahoyami Stapajami Dhyayami, and why we are going to invite and do worship in our puja process. And if you read this Hindi translation also, that कौन सी ऐसी अद्भुत प्रेरणा which is inspiring force है जो सदा हमारी उन्नति में सहायक बनती है, which is always helpful and being a catalyst in our progress. यह कौन सी शक्ति है जिससे श्रेष्ठ बुद्धिमान को अपनाया है? What power is this which has helped the most wisdom of the human being? मैं राहु को नमस्कार करता हूँ, so I normally bow down to that position and I invite them, I establish them, and I meditate on them. So just imagine there's nothing bad or worse about any of the natural forces. And Rahu itself is not a real physical planet like Mars or Jupiter, but it is a mathematical point in the sky, specifically one of the two lunar nodes. Rahu is the north lunar node, the point where the moon's orbit crosses the ecliptic, and in science they are also known as the shadow planets, or in Hindi or Vedic culture we call it as a Chaya Graha. Now let's talk about Rahu as a Illinoist, the smoky mirror of desire. That is a true understanding about Rahu. Rahu will symbolize the confusion in your life, the desires and the intense struggle in its true meaning. That's time somebody say, oh, you must be feeling that kind of thing. You have a lot of desire, confusion in your life. You don't know what actually you want to do, and you're not able to make a wisdom decision. That's where the chanting of Gayatri Mantra, the mantra for the wisdom or the vivek or the discriminative power or the Hans Buddhi comes into place, and you will be able to overcome that. So Rahu is like a magician in a carnival who mesmerizes you with illusions and distractions. You have been pulled toward the shiny things, the wealth, the power, the fame, but you don't realize that you will be diverted from your soul's real purpose. So the spiritual interpretation of Rahu is regarding the unfulfilled desires, the material obsession, and the ego traps which comes in everybody's life during some part of our growth. It pushes you into territories that are foreign, addictive, or taboo, testing your moral compass. And everyone has to go through this kind of test in their life. On the flip side, Rahu, not Rahul, Rahu also represents breakthroughs through the struggle. So whenever you hear the word Rahu, Ketu, Shani, we always think about the struggle in the life, but no, that's coming for a reason, to make ourselves stronger. In Pandit Shriram Sharma Acharya's philosophy, the struggles are not to destroy us, but to discover your inner power. So what power lesson we need to learn? Don't chase the shadow. Seek the light of Akhand Jyoti. Seek the light of the Surya, the Savita Devta of the Gayatri Mantra. Use your discrimination power, which is Vivek, developed through the Gayatri Sadhana, to differentiate between the temporary allure and the lasting value. Rahu's energy must be spiritual, not suppressed, but transformed into the services. So if you think from that angle, you will not be afraid and you will be ready to take on. So we must learn from the challenges rather than running away from them and become the leaders and the change makers. And I'll give you some example. One of the famous examples from the world leaders are the Oprah Winfrey. In her early life was full of trauma and obstacles. That was, can we say, as a Rahu effect? And yet she turned that pain into a purpose, rising as a media leader and inspiration for millions. We all are aware of that. So we need to talk about such leaders and take inspiration from such leaders in a similar situation like Rahu Dasha when you are going through in your life. Second example I can take about it is Steve Jobs, the outcast turned visionary who dropped out of college, was obsessed with perfection and control. We can call this as a Rahu traits. Got fired from his own company, Apple, at the age 30, went into a period of self-doubt, wandering, reinvention, transformation. But instead of becoming bitter or trying to chase the astrologers or wearing a stone on a golden ring on one of the finger, Steve Jobs founded Next and bought Pixar, leading to the breakthrough in the animation. And then he returned to Apple later and transformed the tech world with iPod, iPhone, and you know what all. So what are the lessons learned from this Rahu Dasha, from the example of Steve? Steve Jobs embraced his chaos, using the exile as growth, and returned with more clarity, a classic Rahu to light thing, and he mastered the detachment from his own company outcome and focus on the vision for the future. So we all will be going through this kind of thing. Other good example is of the Malala Yousafzai, from suppression to global voice. In terms of Rahu effect, how that kind of similar effect of confusion and thing come to her life. She lived under the Taliban rule in Pakistan and faced violence, threats, and was shot in head just for wanting the girls' education. The only I would say the mistake people thought she did is she wanted to have education for the girls, which is the right thing to do. And somebody shot her in a head. But with God's desire, she survived, and life, even though her life was full of fear, uncertainty, and near death, which is typical Rahu turmoil, as your astrologer will tell you. But the transformation is what? What is the outcome? The end result which you're looking for. Surviving the attack, she didn't retreat, but she became bolder and more focused. At age 17, she became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner and global symbol of courage and education. So the lessons we need to learn from this is she turned a life of danger and darkness into a source of worldwide light, like Akhand Jyoti, Akhand Deepak, and leadership aligning perfectly with the Vachar Kranti, or thought revolution of Pandit Shriram Sharma Acharya, teachings leading to the social change. So these are some of the things which I would say we need to learn. Now, as usual, in completion of this video, I want to make sure that as the extra item, you clear the myth. That what is a myth and what are the facts of being afraid of Rahu Dasha, and all the above stories. There may be many more stories and examples which you can pick up yourself. The Rahu is not a curse. It is a test of your vision. When handled with inner strength and wisdom, as our Gurudev Acharya teaches, even the darkest clouds can birth the brightest leaders, like some of those examples. I would highly encourage to read few books, which is of course will give you how to overcome in similar situations. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, where he speaks directly to those facing Rahu-like chaos, anxiety, dissatisfaction, seeking the external validation, and shows how silence and presence can bring peace. The second book I would recommend is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl, where he shows that even in the worst circumstances, which you can refer as Rahu Dasha, humans can choose their attitude, find deeper meaning, and grow spiritually. This is the true victory over Rahu. So such kind of books is going to help you rather than chasing, running around the astrologers and the stones and the rings. Focus on the real thing which you can do. That will help you. And you don't need to wait for a Rahu Dasha coming in your life. Everybody has to go through that anyway once in lifetime. So you start picking this kind of books as a habit on a daily basis to read at least 30 minutes every single day. That's why Gurudev also mentioned when we call Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya means to read yourself and understand about the things. And then if you have any more questions, you can contact me at my email, rahulrenusharma@gmail.com. With this thing. And the departing message, so you don't forget, be a Vedic practitioner or be a Hindu, be a Sanatani, whatever you want to call it. Learn and adopt the practice, the secrets of success within the 3400 plus books written by Gurudev, making life simpler for us rather than reading the complex Vedas. Stay successful and happy and help others making this world in heaven. And then don't forget to subscribe to my channel to watch my next video. And remember the explanation of Navgraha Puja. You got to do your duty. Your duty is more people should know about Vedic culture. More people should know about our Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma, and they need to start following the practice. So you promote this video, invite people to your home, perform a Gayatri Yagna, and spread the word about Gayatri and Yagna to every single